Well, good evening and welcome to the ILS online chat. This is our first chat this fall. Can you hear me well? Sound check. Good? Okay, great. So I am Najib El Sayed. I'm the director of ILS and I'm professor of cell biology and molecular genetics. So as you know, we're here tonight to introduce you to a very special living learning community. This community's ILS is designed to ease your transition to University of Maryland and prepare you for future success wherever your aspirations may be in the life sciences. But most importantly, we're here to answer your questions following just a brief overview of the program. Presenting with me are Dr. Sabrina Kramer, who is the Associate Director of ILS, and she'll introduce herself in a moment. She is waiting right now, as well as Ms. Jayla Townsend, who is the Assistant Director of ILS. And I'm also thrilled to be joined by a panel of four brilliant ILS students. We have three sophomores and one senior with us, I believe, tonight. They have agreed to answer your questions. In fact, they are going to be the stars of the show tonight after we're done with the introductions and with the main introduction. And yeah, let's start with the introductions, actually. Yeah, Sabrina, you want to start?
Sure. Thanks, Najib. Hello, everyone. I'm the Associate Director for ILS. So my background is in plant virology. That's where I got my PhD, but I'm also excited about science education. I teach our honors cell biology course that most of our sophomores take. I run our research program. So the internship, we have a required research internship. And I do a lot of advising for upperclassmen. And I added our hometowns just so people can see where we're from. And I'm originally from a tiny town in Virginia called Wytheville, if anyone's familiar with that. And my photo has my 10-year-old daughter because that was the most recent photo I had. Jayla.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jayla Townsend. I'm the Assistant Director for ILS. And in my role, I instruct our HLSC 100 class, which is kind of our introduction to the university course, as well as our service learning course. And I also do a lot of the first year advising for our students and the community building aspect. So lots of programming, lots of different events to make sure that you're feeling connected within your cohort as well as with the program itself.
Aditri.
Hi, everyone. I'm a sophomore computer science major. Right now, I'm planning to get a PhD in computational biology because I'm really interested in research that's like the intersection of computer science and bio. And I'm from Princeton, New Jersey.
And Ariel.
Hey everyone, my name is Ariel Abraham. I'm a cell bio and genetics major with a data science minor. I'm a sophomore. I'm from Potomac, Maryland, for all of you MoCo folks in the call today. Also moved around a lot, so any people from Boston also, big Celtics guy. My career plans are an MD PhD, and I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Thank you, Ariel. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Griffith. I'm a senior and a government and biology dual degree. My current plans are medical school and being a physician, but I'm also heavily involved in like health policy and advocacy. And I'm from Ellicott City, Maryland.
Thank you. Maritza.
Hi, everybody. My name's Maritza. I'm a sophomore, and my major is cell bio and molecular genetics. And I want to go to med school after undergrad, and I want to do pediatric orthopedic surgery. And I am from Bel Air, Maryland.
Thank you, everyone. So if I could have the next slide, Sabrina. And so you all probably know already a little bit about the Honors College, but you may not know that it's home for UMD's highly acclaimed living learning programs. In fact, there's 8 of them for students with exceptional academic talents. Living learning programs, they range from 2-year programs like the multidisciplinary university honors, UH, to the more focused programs like the ILS program. They all feature small classes taught by outstanding faculty, an innovative learning environment, and opportunities for research and study in the Washington, D.C. area. Now, let me tell you a bit more about ILS, which is on the next slide, Sabrina. So what makes ILS so special? So as I mentioned, we make sure you succeed in whatever you want to do, and we ease your transition. How do we achieve this? Primarily through a supportive community. This is our first point, which we really want to highlight because it is what students end up liking the most, as you will hear from our ILS students. So the development of an inclusive community focused on both living and learning together is the central mission of ILS and probably the most valued aspect of the ILS experience. So it's designed to help students with their sometimes rocky transition on campus the first year. It provides a safety net, increases your engagement, and builds the launching pad from which to explore the fantastic life-transforming opportunities on campus. What does community mean for us? You are going to end up living together. You're going to take the same ILS courses. You're going to study together. And in addition to the mentoring and advice you get from the program staff, you're going to support each other. The second most important point is the accelerated academic program, which starts with sophomore level classes. So students who are invited to join ILS would have already taken or received full credit for freshman biology sequence, either via AP, biology AP, or some other mechanism. The ILS classes are specifically structured to enhance active learning and small group collaboration, which have been shown to facilitate deep learning. We also facilitate research opportunities on the UMD campus and in the various research institutes around the campus, whether it's federal research institutes or local schools of medicine. We emphasize rigorous scientific inquiry and the development of cutting-edge research skills. Those are central to the ILS mission. We guide our students through an authentic research in experience, and Sabrina is going to tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So even if our students do not pursue research as a major component of their future careers, learning how to engage in scientific reasoning will allow you to incorporate research findings into your professional career and practice and make better decisions in your personal lives. Finally, service component that you will hear a bit more about. All ILS students dedicate a portion of their time and talent serving the local community or a local community partner in your first year. Typically, the projects are self-selected, and we design those service experiences to provide a more holistic perspective to the rigorous coursework that you're going to be subjected to. We do that to encourage you and other students to learn from people whose backgrounds are different from your own. And we use service to also encourage inclusive relationship building. So as you can see, we are purposeful, we are very intentional in our efforts to encourage you and the students to work together in order to better facilitate your learning experience and your success at University of Maryland. And the results will speak for themselves. The next slide, actually, or this slide shows you that we have a very high success rate for students applying to all professional schools and graduate schools. Just a note, if you're curious about the makeup of the class, typically 60% of our students major in the life sciences and biological sciences, about 20% in bio-E or chemical engineering, another 10% in biochemistry or chemistry, and 10% in other majors. And the professional goals, about 55% of our students want to go to medical school, 5 to 10% want to go to MD PhD program. Actually, this number has been increasing in the last couple of years. About 15% want to just do a PhD. Other 14% want to join the workforce or go to School of Public Health, etc. Sabrina, I hand it over to you.
Thanks, Nadeeb. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our coursework. I'm the one who organizes the curriculum. So we have a set number or a set course sequence for your first year. We've learned that's really helpful to help students get acclimated to college. And then you can choose courses your second year. So in our first semester, you would normally take our Intro to the University course, which is HLSC 100, taught by Jayla. And then if you have the biology background, so our equivalent of BiSci 170, you'd start with HLSC 280, which is Najib's class, which is quantitative and integrative concepts in biology. And then the second semester, you would take HLSC 102, which is our second semester intro course, and that's where the service learning component fits in. And then you would take genetics and genomics, our second semester bio course. Your second year, you would take any two of these courses. So I teach the cell biology and physiology course, which is required for the vast majority of our majors and required for our pre-med students. But some of our other students do not need to take that course. So our chemistry majors or chemical engineers. So they would take other courses. So science writing. There are two different global health messaging courses. We are currently teaching an ethics course, so topics in scientific integrity and biomedical ethics. There's a bioinformatics course, and every 3 years we teach a study abroad course, which is a science history course in London during the winter semester. We run it in winter so it doesn't disrupt most people's course sequences. At the bottom, you'll see pictures of our instructors, which includes me and Jayla and Najib. Our genetics instructor is typically Dr. Leslie Pick, and Dr. Brantley Hall teaches our bioinformatics course. Okay. Course preparation, for those of you who have questions about being prepared for ILS. So we're looking for students who are excited about biology. We have found that if you are not excited about biology, having to take rigorous courses in biology makes you unhappy. We don't want unhappy students. So we want you to have an excitement for biology, right? Because we're going to be taking a lot of courses. So if you happen to be taking AP or IB biology, please take your AP or IB exams and have those scores sent to us. We don't automatically get the scores. If you are taking dual enrollment at a local community college, you have to actually send those scores to the university. We don't, again, automatically get those. And then when you're filling out your preferencing form online, there's actually a box for you to explain why you're excited about ILS. And we want to know, like, we are total, okay, I'll speak for myself. I'm totally a science geek, and we're very excited to learn why you're interested in biology. There's also a box for you to tell us that you're planning to take IB or AP or whichever exams are appropriate. Okay, on to research. So I coordinate the research internship program. There isn't a credit-bearing class for this. There can be if you like, we can make that happen. But we don't have one, so students have maximum flexibility as to when they complete their internship. So students will complete approximately 240 hours of research, and they can choose what that kind of looks like. I encourage students to find something that's going to be helpful for them for their future careers. And this has to be in the life sciences. So our students have had internships at Children's National Hospital, at the Smithsonian, USDA, FDA. Many of our students will work at the School of Medicine, at Hopkins, on campus, a variety of different institutions. And students choose what works into their schedule, whether that's during the semester or during the summer or winter, and based on their interests and what they're excited about. So we do not get the internship for them, but we help them through that process, stepping it through everything from how to put your resume together to how do you talk to faculty members about being in their lab. Okay, and with that, I'm going to hand off to Jayla.
Awesome. And as mentioned previously, service is also a large component of our program. It is very important to us and should be to all of you that we learn to give back to our various communities, as the work that everyone will be doing will impact someone in some capacity. And so the student-led service learning initiative was also actually created by students. It was something that students wanted and thought was really important for the program in order to build a balanced individuals and professionals. And so all of our students are required to complete at least 25 hours of community service throughout their first year. We will work together throughout the first semester. You all are at the University of Maryland to think through what is the specific service opportunity that is most interesting to you, what is going to help you learn the most, and we will develop a proposal, and then from there you all will complete the 102 Service Learning Initiative course. So some of our students are involved in lots of things. There's lots of volunteering in various mentorship capacities. There's lots of community gardening opportunities as well as different opportunities that help engage in different levels. And so our goal for our students is to identify a problem, something that they're interested in, and then find a way to come to a solution with that using service in some capacity. And as a result of the service learning course, we've had lots of students create and develop their own student organizations, including some of those that are listed. Including the Young Scientist Initiative, Rising Researchers, and lots of the others that are listed as well. So service is a big portion of who we are as ILS, and we have lots of various service initiatives that happen throughout the academic year as well.
Okay. So I didn't know if you wanted me to hand off to you, Najib, but I can finish this up. Okay. So that is the formal part of the presentation, just a big overview of the different programs. I know we've had some questions pop up on Q&A, but I wanted to put our official contact information up here. And then I'm going to switch us over to the screen to remind you about our student presenters. And then we're going to switch this over to answering all of your questions. There we go. And with that, if you have questions, we would love to hear them. So you can either type them into the Q&A or unmute yourself. We would love to hear from you. And one of our first questions was, are most students who list ILS as their first choice able to get it? So yeah, thanks, Jenny. Now's a great time to put your questions in. It kind of depends. It depends on the year and how many people preference ILS. So we have about 300 students preference us for their first choice. We end up inviting around 220. And then in the fall, we end up somewhere around a class of 85 to, well, between 80 and 90, depending on the year. Admissions is a lot of guessing to kind of give you an idea. Do I know the acceptance rates to graduate schools or MD PhD programs? I don't know so we have on campus the Health Professions Advising Office. And I'm going to preference they work with students all across campus. You don't have to be in ILS. So you can be in any program and work with them. And they're really super helpful to help you get ready for anything related to the medical profession. So that includes PPA, pre-MD, pre-MD PhD, physical therapy, nursing. They work with all of them, pre-dental. So they do keep track of med school acceptance rates, but there's no central place for me to say how many people get into PhD programs. I will say for the students that I write recommendation letters for PhD programs, I don't know of a single one who didn't get in. So, and I'm pretty sure they would let me know because then they would apply a second year. The MD PhDs are really competitive. So I've had students that have waited a year because they got into programs, but they didn't get into the programs that they would really prefer. So they waited a year, got a little bit more research experience, and then got into the program they wanted. Did you have anything to add, Najib?
No, but I think Ariel does. He seemed ready to say something. Ariel, you must be applying for MD PhD programs soon.
Yeah, no, it's the time is crazy enough already, slowly creeping up on me. But like I said, I'm a sophomore. So obviously it's hard to gauge, especially with the MD PhDs, how many students they take. It's a lot depending on how much lab space a specific medical institution has for you per that year. But what I can say is for sure is if you want or are interested in both medicine and the research side of it, you'll have very few programs really support you in the way that ILS does. It gives you a ton of networking in the medical side of things, and it gives you basically a requirement to do a serious, in-depth research project by the time you end. Um, so, that's overall really like the basis of what an MD PhD really wants to see from a college student, and you get it here in a really special way, in my opinion.
Okay. So I had one question that came over chat, and then we've got some still in the Q&A. So this question about living on campus. So we are one of the programs that require you to live on campus, but only your first year, and you would live in La Plata, 8th and 9th floors with the rest of the ILS community. Do any of our student panelists want to explain what it was like to live in La Plata your first year? Okay, Maritza.
Hi, so I actually live in La Plata still this year. I think it's fine. I feel like there's a negative opinion around living in a college dorm, but I feel like most places you go, it's going to be a similar experience. Most people are going to live in a double. I don't know anyone personally that lives in a single, but I think most of the time you end up in a double with one other person. I think there's quads and triples too, but the room is like pretty nice. Um, it is shared bathrooms, but I personally haven't had anything too bad of an experience with that. And then La Plata is really close to like all of like the really important locations. You're like a minute from one of the main like dining halls on campus, and then the main gym is like also right next door. And then I'm probably like less than a 15-minute walk to most of my classes. So I think living in La Plata is pretty good, and I thought it was like good enough to stay here a second year. So I think it is a pretty good overall experience to live here your first year.
Okay. We had a question about AP biology. Do you want to take that one, Jayla?
Sure. So most of our students will have AP biology or some level of college biology that they've gotten from community colleges before coming into the university. And so I do want to share that first. But it is not necessarily a requirement. So if you are interested in ILS and you have taken some biology and you're really passionate about that, please use, as Dr. Kramer was telling us before, the preferencing form to tell us what you're interested in and how you're interested in it. And I also see there's another question regarding Bio E, since we're on the AP Bio kind of strain anyway, and how to be able to get into Bio E and take ILS courses at the same time without having the AP Bio. And that's something you would work really closely with your advisor on. Once you're admitted into the university and you've gone through orientation, you will have an advisor during the summer who will help you make sure that you're registered for the appropriate classes. So generally, a lot of our students do have that college biology coming in, but if you are interested in ILS, we do have some space for those students who are interested in ILS, but maybe didn't have the opportunity to take AP Bio or take college level biology within their high schools.
Answering a question from Isabel, the living learning aspect is only the first year, at least living together. After that, many of our students choose to still live together on campus or outside. And with regards to accelerated program, some students have chosen to accelerate their studies and finish in less than 4 years. That's possible.
Okay. So I actually had a question come in on chat. It was about the study abroad. So why do we only offer it every 3 years and there are other opportunities? So I will say for me, offering it every 3 years is because as as the instructor, it gets a little exhausting because it's a pretty intense 10 days for us. But Jayla, who's also working on additional study abroad opportunities, I thought I would toss that one to you. So what the student wrote was, you mentioned a study abroad that happens every 3 years. Can you explain what is studied and how this works specifically for ILS and why it only happens every 3 years? And are there other realistically achievable study abroad options?
Sure. So as Dr. Kramer mentioned, we do conduct London once every 3 years, and it's a history course. So thinking about British scientists, we're working on lots of different other options as we speak. Actually, we have meetings coming up this week. But I think this might be a good point to toss it over to Sarah, who did a study abroad program. Just because we only offer a couple of programs doesn't mean there's lots of other programs that are offered by the university that you do have the opportunity to engage in. And so the benefit of doing one of our ILS study abroad courses is that you get ILS credit, which goes towards your citation requirements. But that doesn't mean that that is the only study abroad options you can have as well. So I go ahead and pass it to Sarah, and Sarah can maybe tell you more about her experiences.
Yeah, so I spent a whole semester studying abroad in Rome at the American University of Rome. A lot of people in ILS do have a bit more issue trying to study abroad because getting biology credit or really any sort of like science STEM can be a di bit difficult. We have a whole study abroad office, and like in my interactions with them, they were really nice and really willing to work with you. So if you want some of those biology credits, there are like exchanges in certain universities for that. I also saved some of my gen eds and had the benefit of trying to finish off a government major. So for me, I was able to get credit in that sense and just like put aside biology for a little bit. So it's totally doable. There's tons and tons of outside programs and was super fun as well. So, and now I came back and have not many issues like readjusting and going back into biology and all of those courses. So just like plan it and think it through. ILS isn't going to be a hindrance to it.
Can one student or one or more students in research from the panel talk about the process of finding research opportunities on campus and off campus, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. That's good. So yeah, I saw there was one question about talking about the competitive research programs in this area, right? So UMD, one of the greatest things is that we're so close to so many places to be doing research. We really do have this research corridor here between Hopkins and DC with the federal government, with the FDA, the NIH, the NCI. So we really are blessed to have so many of these things. But also on campus, it's just the same. So this past summer, I worked through Hopkins at their ICU, so their intensive care unit. I was able, one of the reasons I was able to find that opportunity and get in is because of all the experience that ILS gets me and all the, I think, really amazing courses that I've been able to do and be accelerated in. So that was a really enriching experience. And then on campus, I've been working in a lab since the beginning of this year. So it's a bio-E lab. I'm not bio-E. I don't really have that engineering experience. Lucky for me, I don't have to take that much math. Um, but all the same, one of the biggest things really is doing data analytics and bioinformatics. And I was lucky enough to get a lot of experience out of Dr. El Sayed's class on that my first semester. So it's really nice, and I think you really do get an edge being an ILS and looking for those programs and experiences.
Anyone else? Aditri.
Yeah, I also want to say that because of the research component within ILS, there are a lot of resources through ILS with finding research internships. Like Dr. Kramer comes in and gives a whole talk about how to find internships. I think she sends out like a whole list and database of internships and past ILS students who have gotten those internships and how they got them. So you can also reach out to those students. There are really a lot of resources, and everyone's also working towards the same thing. So a lot of people to talk to about these things. Yeah, and for on-campus research, it usually comes down to cold emailing or professors that you find their research interesting. And Dr. Kramer also talks about how to go about this. So yeah, there are a lot of resources out there, and I think being an ILS helps with getting there.
Okay. Um, Where were we? So I think we answered the research questions. I will add that I worked with our students for years. Um, Even during COVID, when research was particularly tricky to find, um, I've been able to work with students to find something that will help them in their career plans and also get them their research experience. Um, it may not always be the semester that they wanted, but we're always able to find something. It just might take a little bit longer, depending on what they're interested in.
Are there additional costs to being in ILS? No.
Okay, we have a question. Can you share if students who don't have a strong background in biology or medicine select ILS and how do they perform? We're usually looking for people who are excited about bio, and typically people who are excited about life sciences have had some sort of preparation in high school before they come. So those tend to go hand in hand. Those of our students who are, say, excited about econ or government and politics will usually have taken government and politics and econ classes in high school. So most of our students have taken some sort of biology in high school. Is there anything you want to add, Jayla?
I think I'd say the same. Most of the time, our students have had like rigorous biology or the most rigorous biology course that they can take while in high school. And so that's kind of how we work to determine like how successful students are going to be. I will say, regardless of this program or not, there's lots of academic resources on campus to help students develop study skills that are important and helpful as they take exams. There's also lots of tutoring and guided study sessions options available for those who are interested in those majors, but maybe this might be the first time they're taking a class. And so regardless of program, there's lots of opportunities to help students out in various capacities.
Jayla, maybe another question for you here and the students. How do the resources within the ILS community help students with heavy STEM coursework, internships, and other extracurriculars?
Sure. Do any of the students want to take a stab at that one? Yeah, Maritza.
I would say that the teachers are really supportive just for like in terms of understanding like the content. All the teachers that I've had so far have been like very like willing to help with answering any questions. I would also say ILS is a good program because of the community in it. I made a lot of friends through this program and that also like allowed me to work with the same group of students a lot. So like some of the coursework you'll find overwhelming naturally, like coming into college for the first time. So being able to take these classes with people that you're with, that you're living with, and like you're around a lot, it makes it a lot better to be able to ask them for help. And then as far as like internships or like research, I actually work with Dr. Pick in her lab, who is usually the genetics teacher for ILS. She's super nice, and that was a easy way for me to find my research is just because like we had a good connection with each other, and I was able to work with her and get in her lab. So, I mean, that's definitely an opportunity ILS is going to give you is access to a bunch of teachers that either have a lab or professors that can get you connected with a good lab. And then Dr. Kramer and I were actually just talking the other day about how I'm going to go about finding like a meaningful summer opportunity for getting clinical. So you definitely have a lot of support in terms of students that are going to help you with your coursework, and then professors that are going to go ahead and help you support you through finding research and internships. So I think the community and the support aspect of ILS is helpful for most things that you would need.
Go ahead, Ariel.
Yeah, I think all the things Maritza said 100%. And it really is nice to have an exam the next morning and the night before. The common room is jam-packed with people going over review questions and talking about what's going to be on the exam and about all kinds of aspects of the material. Another part, and I think it's my favorite part that I didn't even know was part of ILS, is that there are a lot of things already placed within the program that are really meant to say, hey, we know that you're going to be busy. We know that you're striving for a lot, and you're going to be pretty busy. So let's help you. So One of the things that I've really enjoyed, first of all, being a mentee and then a mentor now, is the peer mentor program. You basically get two upperclassmen ILS kids, and you kind of adopt three freshmen, and you have like this little ILS family that meets up, and now we have an amazing group of students that make all kinds of events for them and a point system and prizes, which is really exciting. It's a really nice way to get to know people, get to network, get more resources, and also kind of decompress from a lot of the stresses that a lot of the students in ILS have. Another thing is HLC 100. It's the Intro to College course. It's a nice, chill, one credit course that's an hour and 15 minutes once a week. I was lucky enough to be a TA. And I love the class. Like you get to meet people, you get to know the names of people. So when you get to see them in the hallway, it's not the awkward hello and I'm not sure what your name is. You really you really know who they are and you know who they are as people. I think that's an amazing aspect that, in a college of 31,000 kids is not to be taken for granted.
Can someone tell us about all those UTAs that come as to the dorm almost every night of the week and help you with your studying? Maybe somebody can talk about this.
I can. So with ILS, there's like former students are TAs, teaching assistants who help, just like hold office hours and go over homework. So in your freshman year classes, they go to your dorm and will be sitting in your dorm for you to go up to them and say, I need help with my homework. And I've been a UTA for the sophomore level class, and not only like once you pass the class is a great experience, but as a student, it's really great because we have a high number of TAs and you know them. Like I'm in classes this semester with people I used to teach. And that's also true in general that almost any science class you will find another ILSer, maybe not your year. Um, but it's a way we all know each other and get to like form those relationships. And then it also makes it a lot easier to go out and say, I really don't understand this. I'm really struggling and be able to get that help because you already know who it is, you know how to reach them. And it's a great like way to like really succeed in your classes and have people invested in you succeeding as well.
Thanks, Sarah and Ariel. Thank you both. So Maritza, you mentioned you got a question about research and clinical, and if that has to relate to your career goals. I'll pop in and say, no, they don't have to. I just wanted to help you guys get to your, future careers, wherever they happen to be. So it'd be great if they were doubly helpful for the program and for you personally. And with that, I was actually going to call on you, Sarah, because you're one of our few who've done internships inside science and outside science, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
And I can add something. The research does not have to be clinical. It can be anything in the basic sciences, in chemistry, in computational biology, in public health. It does not necessarily have to have direct clinical applications. Graduate schools, medical schools just want to see that you have done some research of some sort related to the life sciences.
And speaking of internships, so ILS is a great tool for like finding some of those clinical research-based internships. My freshman year, I was definitely like, how do I get an internship and using those. But as a government major, I've had a lot of interest in health policy and pursuing that. So on campus, there's a ton of resources because that's not necessarily ILS specialty, like going into government, but they've also been a great tool. I think I've put Dr. Kramer on like every single application as a reference. And when I told her I had an internship at the Office of Science and Technology Policy, so still science related, that is my interest. And when I told her about it, she was like, well, if you really want, like, we can make this your research project and find some way to make it work, even though it wasn't necessarily like strict lab research or clinical research. I was looking at pandemic preparedness and like how we can institute research centers to try and like do all these things to limit a future pandemic. So not health related, not at all like clinical research or anything like that. And they will work with you to make it work. So do pursue your interests. I definitely have, and I've still fit in really well with ILS, have great friends, and loved my experience in the program.
Ariel, you want to take the next question on computational bio?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that it's funny because I was actually looking for the same exact major when I was applying. So computational bio is unfortunately not a undergraduate program that UMD provides. I'm pretty sure it's a master or graduate student program. Yeah, Dr. Kramer, that we have. I have a ton of friends that do computer science and bio, kind of double majoring. If you would ask me if I'd recommend that, no, that's a lot of work. But if that's something that you're interested in 100%, personally for me, the way I kind of bridge that is as I picked up the data science minor. It's a brand new minor through the College of Mathematics, so CMNS, Natural Sciences and Computer Sciences, um, and and it's perfect. You get a lot of experience with entry level coding, which is really important for all the comp bio stuff. You get a bit more of an enrichment in math for that kind of stuff and data structures. You get a lot of statistics background. So personally, if if I was in your position, which I was, I would do that all over again. I think it's still a really perfect fit, and on the side, you get a whole course made just for you and your program about informatics, bioinformatics. So if that's your thing, it's pretty much set for you. Another thing I just want to touch on real quick, we talked a lot about internships and how competitive things can be. I think one of the most important parts, as someone who's pre-med, it can get pretty stressful. I know in my high school I got a lot of especially college time. A lot of elbows were pretty out, pretty competitive, trying to get ahead. Something really special about this community is that it's collaborative. There's no limit on how many A's ILS can give students. You know, all the professors just want you to succeed. Dr. Kramer in cell bio, and Dr. Pick in genetics, and Dr. El Sayed in informatics. So and also the community itself, you get to live with them. You're never competing and looking at each other for their notes and to steal their notes or to something like that, like the horror stories you hear. It's a really amazing environment. And I think it's, like I keep saying, very, very special, and very uplifting for everyone.
I just wanted to add on to the computational biology question since I am planning on going into comp bio. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. Like Ariel said, there's some people do double major with computer science and bio. Some people do bio with CS minor or data science minor. The way that I'm doing it is I'm just doing a computer science major, but then within computer science, there's something called an upper level concentration where you have to take courses in another domain. So it's essentially like a minor, but they call it a concentration. And I'm doing that concentration in bio. And some of the ILS classes actually help me fulfill my CS major, which you wouldn't think that they would, but they do. So I think that's another really good option, especially if you're looking into a little bit heavier on the CS in the application of bio rather than just rather than the other way around. But yeah, there are a lot of different ways to do it. I highly recommend the way that I am doing it right now. I feel like it's a really good balance. And I'm also just sort of taking bio courses that I'm interested in just because I'm interested in them. Like I'm planning on taking Orgo next semester, even though it doesn't count for anything. So that's another option. Like you can also just pick and choose the courses that you want to take. But yeah.
I have a question from Stephanie with regards to which courses advanced placement students are skipping when they enter in this status. And they are, and you can help me here, Sabrina, Biology 160 in its lab, Biology 170 in its lab. These are the two main classes that most of our students, when they enter at the sophomore level, do not take.
It really kind of depends. The only one that so the big one that we care about is the equivalent for BSCI 170, which is required to start into HLSC 280. If you don't have that coming in, and some people won't, you would actually start with BSCI 170 and then take 280 your sophomore year. So into the Q&A, I'm actually going to paste in the link to the transfer database. We actually have a massive database of courses that have already been evaluated. um, for transfer credit. There's a really close alignment by state mandate between the Maryland community colleges and the Maryland state system. But you're gonna have to look up how that transfers in. And yes, we do take dual enrollment credit. There are different levels for how you score on AP and IB exams. I do know for IB, it needs to be IBHL, not IBSL to transfer in. But hopefully I typed it in. Hopefully that shows up. And if not, I can put it in the general chat. But there is actually a general database, so I can put it there, to check out how everything transfers, and that also includes international institutions and scores, like the Cambridge, I think single A and double A tests. Anything you want to add? Okay. What are the questions? We have a few more minutes. Are there any more questions? You can ask everything, right? So you can ask why our students chose Maryland. What's the best dorm for upperclassmen? What did they bring to college? I don't know. We're happy to answer questions. It doesn't have to be academic, but we're happy to answer those too.
While we're waiting for more questions, if you are interested in seeing what the day in the life of an ILS student looks like, if you follow us on our Instagram page at ILS__UMD, every Tuesday for the next month or so, we'll be having one of our current students take you on a trip of their lives. You just missed one yesterday, but if you go onto our Instagram page, you can see in our highlights our student Hannah, who is a junior, who is also going through that process. So if you want to know what it means and what it looks like to be an ILSer, every Tuesday for the next month or so, follow us on Instagram and watch us through our stories. Just a shameless plug. Follow us on Insta.
Also,
you were going to say something. Go ahead, Arya.
Oh, sorry. I thought we're doing plugs. Also the honors ambassadors, if you just look up UMD honors ambassadors, UMD honors ambassadors is a really cool thing, which is called Hosta Days. So you can come to campus and you can have an honors ambassador. I think almost like whatever you most match with in interest will literally take you around for a day. So like you'll go to classes with them and you'll see like what it's like in like the dorm or wherever they are and like what the dining halls look like. Which is actually something I really wish we had when I was applying. That'd have been really cool to just like walk around for a day. But highly recommend just do it. That'll be fun.
So question was, there was talk earlier in the presentation of honors courses in sophomore year. What does honors look like specifically in the upperclassmen years? We have all upperclassmen here. Who would like to take this one?
I can, as someone so the ILS is 2 years. So as an upperclassman in terms of sophomore year, you take sophomore level classes, which you get your choice. It's not a set, like you take this class. So you can kind of do what works with your interests or your majors. And then afterwards, you're kind of involved as you want. I'm involved through TAing, and really got close with a lot of the friends I made in ILS. So we routinely get together, even though we're not necessarily all taking the same classes together or living in La Plata or doing any of those things you might that we had the first few years of ILS. But it's kind of you do what you want and get to participate as much or as little as you want at that point.
Once you finish your program, you're always a part of the ILS family. And we do have lots of various leadership opportunities available to students. And a lot of our students are involved in our community leadership council where they plan service events, different community events, as well as our peer mentors. And so a lot of our upperclassmen come back to help us out in lots of ways. They're teaching assistants and really help our first year students and our sophomore students build community and kind of provide the support that our students need as they go along.
And we are going to write those recommendation letters for all 4 years and sometimes even in the 5th year at the
Yes, Najib and I see a lot of our upperclassmen, and we do write a lot of rec letters for med school and professional school, but we also help them everything from like where to apply for grad school what's the difference between interviewing for grad school versus interviewing for med school, how to write their personal statement for med school, how to talk to professors. We are here for you all 4 years, but the program can be completed in two. And we do a lot of upperclassmen advising as they kind of figure out their next steps after Maryland.
Also, we have ice cream socials through the honors college. We were supposed to have one yesterday, which I found so funny. I was actually going to go to it too. It was during class. We have class in the same building, so I was like, okay, I'll grab ice cream. We didn't have school.
Well, apparently they're rescheduling next Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have class then.
I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be first in line for the ice cream. 100%.
In the time left, I was going to ask our current students, thinking back to when you were high school seniors, if you had any advice on figuring out, what school to go to, or what next steps post high school graduation kind of look like, if you wanted to share, or if you want to share why you chose Maryland or ILS, because I know many of our students are also trying to figure out what university to go to altogether. If you could share that, that would be super helpful, or any piece of advice you have.
I can go first if no one else wants to. Um, I think my biggest piece of advice, if I could give myself, if I could go back, um, really do your due diligence. Really think what's important to you. Think about what you want and what's best for you. I think this is an amazing community. I chose ILS because I knew that the resources and the support around me was something that I was going to need for these 4 years, where I knew I wanted to pursue medicine, and I knew that UMD was a perfect fit for me because not only is it close to home, but also the amount of things that are available on campus, the amount of people and perspectives that you have here, the diversity of the student body. You can find any club in the world that you want here, and any experience that you want, you'll be able to get. Um, so really, like take your time, block out a lot of the noise that comes from around you, and really do your research and go with your heart. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of the same things, and also just take advantage of all the resources that there are to get to know a college. Like we mentioned, the honors ambassadors shadowing. Like that's a really, really good way to get to know more about ILS and UMD. And if you can't come to campus or you don't want to come to campus, you can also do it virtually. So you can schedule like a Zoom session with a current student, and you can ask them any question and they'll answer super honestly. And I think it's a really good way to get to know a college. That's how I found making my decision. It made my decision a lot easier when I talked to students from that college, just like right now, and potentially through things like um, virtual hosted days. So,
And I would add on to that with the idea of like the honors college and ILS, it's like making a big school feel small. ILS has been like a great community for me and many of my friends. It's how I've met a lot of them. But at the same time, you have all of the resources of a really big school in which we have like really fun game days and can support like huge teams. But then I also got to study abroad. I got to intern in DC and do all of these things that Maryland specifically has by virtue of being near DC and having access and like resources to find internships to go abroad and like really pursue any interest or passion you may have.
I agree with everything that's been said. I also would highly suggest coming here. I ended up applying to a lot of colleges when I was in high school. I think it was like over 10, and I was able to come visit here before I committed to Maryland, and that's what sold it for me. So I would definitely look into if you guys can come to the hosted days. Not to toot my own horn, but I did host my own, and the student that I did have last year is in this school now. He does like it here. So I would definitely do it. I didn't know about about the host today when I was coming up into Maryland, but I think it would have like relieved a lot of my stress, like getting to see like it's not college is not as scary as you think it is, and like it would have been fun to like see what a day in the life is going to be like. So if you guys could do that, I think it's a really good idea, but just try to take everything easy. I know that making a decision coming to a certain college is a lot of pressure to make the right decision, but if you give a lot of thought to it and you decide to go where your heart tells you to go, you will end up making the right decision. So good luck to everybody that has to commit to college soon.
So we're approaching the top of the hour. I just don't want to forget to, yeah, I'm going to let you talk, Ariel, for a second there, but I just want to make sure before we do that to thank all of you, the panelists, the students, for being here tonight. You are the reason why we do this, you and your peers. And I also want to thank the parents and the prospective ILS students for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing you. Ariel, you want to say something?
Yeah, just really quick, I forgot, and Chantel reminded me actually something really important. My parents didn't do their undergrad here, so a lot of the process of applying and then accepting, if that applies to any of you in this call, is difficult. I know how hard it can be, how scary it can be, especially if you don't have that knowledgeable support around you. Um, and and believe me, you can do it. You've gone through everything. You're already here. You're already in. So you should be proud of yourself and give yourself a breath for a second. And know that seriously, there's so many resources around you. Either like just emailing the honors, email here, or like emailing an honors ambassador. I think we'll have our contact info in the chat. Please reach out. You're not alone in this process. So whether you do have experience or not, it's scary. If you don't have people with experience around you, it's even scarier. So really, please don't be scared to reach out. And really, you're gonna do amazing things wherever you go. So
Sabrina or Jella, any last parting words?
I was just gonna echo what everyone else said. Like, we're here to help. If you have questions, email us. To add on to what Ariel said, I was a financial aid student when I went to college, so I still remember signing my first like promissory note, and I felt like I was signing away my life. But I was just desperate to go to college, so I was like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out later. There's lots of people here to help you. The entire campus is dedicated to helping all of our students, whatever your background is. Whether that means you had someone in your family who went to college or not, it doesn't matter. If you contact us, whether we're the right person or not, we will get you in touch with the people who will be able to help you. So you don't have to feel like you're signing away your life like I did. But yeah, please reach out. We're here to help. And we want you guys, well, we'd love for you to all come to ILS, but if not, we want you to all be very successful, however that ends up. Anything you want to add, Jayla?
We're here to help. Congratulations. It is no small victory, so congratulations on everything I've gone so far. And if you need anything, let us know.
And just to highlight something in the chat, please make sure you submit your preference form by February 19th. That's an important deadline.